Yo guys, yo what's up bros? My name's DJ. 303, 304, 305. And I'll be telling you about theories of emotion and stress. First, let's get ready for some formal clothes. First, the clothes. Next, the hat. Looks good. But one more thing. Let's change the glasses. I think we're ready to listen to some knowledge. Let's go. Good morning again. My name is DJ, as I said. And I came to teach you, handsome and beautiful students, of a theory of emotions and stress. Let's go into this. So, theories of emotion. Emotion is related with our motivation. So, we can also say that emotions affect our motivations and vice versa. Emotions affect our motivations affect emotions. For example, let's say you're in love with this beautiful woman or this handsome man, and they love people who study well, who are smart. Then that would motivate you to study more. So this is just an example. And like, for example, if this man was this handsome guy, I think every woman would just want to study every day. I'm just kidding. So psychologists created many theories to explain our EE, or emotional expression. So the first theory is the James Lange theory. So what that is through our biological changes, we feel emotions. So for example, because we cry, we are sad. That's what this is saying. For a better example, let's say there's this scary bear. And you're the person, and then you feel your heart pounding, your breath becoming heavy, your arms shaking. And you can conclude that as being fear. That of the emotion of fear. So that's what the James Lange theory is talking about. And the Cannon-Barr theory. The Cannon-Barr theory. This is where Walter Cannon and Philip Barr made, because they disagree with the order. Wait, sorry, I'll just stop. They made because they disagreed with the order. So, because they thought that there were similar physiological changes, so like biological changes, with different emotions. For example, let's say your heart is pounding with the previous example. That may be fear, but that can also be happiness, love, and excitement. So that's why they conclude that like biological changes, so physiological changes, and cognitive awareness of your emotional state occur at the same time, so simultaneously. So, as we see in this example, the bear, well, in this specific example, we can see like the bear is a stimulus, and the thalamus receives information of the stimulus, and then it sends information simultaneously through the cortex and to the autonomic nervous system. And this leads to having the emotions and physiological changes occurring at the same time. And Kanan, this guy thought that the thalamus is responsible for everything. So as we see in this picture, he thought that like the thalamus, it does everything. It receives information, just sends it to the body, sends it to the cortex, the brain, and the autonomic nervous system, and it like kind of like, so it was responsible for everything. But no, it was not that. Recent research showed that many other brain structures also help the process. For example, the amygdala, amygdala, not abracadabra. Okay, just kidding. And this picture, I think it would be like a better, an easier picture. So let's say you have a dog, and then you have the physiological arousal and the cognitive label, like cognitive change, occur at the same time, which leads to the emotion of fear. That's the Cannon-Barr theory. And now, lastly, the two factors theory. So this stated was by Stanley Schachter and Jeremy E. Singer. So it's also called the Schachter-Singer theory. So this was a more complete way of like all in all. So this was where the sorry, I got really sick, so it's kind of itchy. So to continue, so this was where the physical response of the body and our cognitive labels, so our mental interpretations, combine, and they cause a particular emotion. So they result in a particular emotion response. And it depends on two factors, so biology and cognition. So biology, so like, let's say we're in this situation, the stimuli elicits the physiological cause. So it causes the physiological response. And the second was like now the cognitively appraise the physiological activity, so which we give it the correct label. So like this is kind of hard to understand, so I'll show you with an example. So again with the bear experiment, a bear example. So let's say the stimulus, a threatening bear is coming right at you, and then like again, your physiological responses. Your heart is like bumping really fast, arms are trembling, your neck is sweating. And then there's another step to it. So if it was the James Lange theory, it would just go right away that this emotion is fear. But it adds like the cognitive label, so that your interpretation. So that is a scary bear. That is one big, scary, fat, ugly, that's a scary bear. And I'm afraid of it. And that leads to the emotion of fear. So that's how this theory is saying that through this process, we get the result of the emotion fear. And Schachter, so he also thought that people who are like physiologically like aroused will be more intense, will have more intense emotions if they're than unaroused people. So for example, let's say you're running or you're jogging around Recipia, And then when you come home, because your heart rate is high, when you come home and like somebody surprises you, you'll be more surprised than you were in your original and normal resting state. That's what he said. And non-verbal expressions of emotions. Wait. Okay. Sorry. I just coughed. So non-verbal expressions of emotions. So psychologists, they found that expressions of emotions non-verbally were universal. Like for example, facial expressions, like the most common example. So this didn't matter of culture or society because there were same facial expressions for every emotion. So like the basic emotions, like happiness, I'm happy, and sadness, I'm sad, and anger, yeah, 죽고 싶어? Yeah, I like anger. So in this picture, you can just know like which facial expression is representing which emotion. So that's what non-verbal expressions of emotion is talking about. Now let's go into stress. So stress. So stress and emotion are connected. So and then like psychologists, and not only psychologists but some scientists, they research and study this because so they can understand emotion and motivation better, and also so they can like solve the problem caused by stress. So the problem that causes stress. Sorry, the battery's low. Sorry, okay. And stress, it can refer to either like certain life effects, like sorry, I just had to cough. So like I think I cough often, so I'm just gonna like stop it and continue it. So please give me mercy. So, again, so see, stress, it can be referred to certain life events, which are stressors. So reaction of certain life events, or the reactions of changes in environment, which are called stress reactions. And measuring stress. See, this was proposed by Thomas Holmes and Richard Rah. So they invented the first instrument, and this was the social readjustment rating scale, also called the SRRS. And this measured stress using life change units. And life change units are just like life change events in your life. For example, just let's say moving to another house, or getting married, or getting a new job, getting fired, just any life event in your life was measured as a life change unit. And the high score on the SRRS, it meant that you were more likely to have stress-related disease. So you were more stressed than people who had a low SRRS score. So as you see in this chart, we can see that number one, the highest SRRS score is death of spouse. So like death of your husband or wife. And I don't know what you guys can relate to. Let's say change in eating habits is like the last in this chart, only 15. Oh, and begin or end of school, it's 27th place. The rating is only 26. So you can see that as the rating gets higher, you get more stressed. That means you're more stressed and you're more related to have stress-related disease. And Selle's general adaptation syndrome. So this described the general responses of humans and animals of a stressful event. So because like our our pattern to our reaction may be consistent. That's why this was made. So Cayley gases theory, like I'll just call this gas. There were 3 stages: the alarm reaction, the resistance, and exhaustion stage. So if we go, so this is the Cayley's gas, not, yeah, gas. It kind of sounds funny. Let's just go with it. So starting from homeostasis, before stress, we're in the alarm stage. So we get ready for resistance. And then at the resistance stage, we're at resistance towards stress. And at the exhaustion stage, we relieve what we had. So this was what was in the book. So yeah, just focus on what I underlined. So the alarm reaction stage is where the organism, it gets ready to meet the challenge. It gets ready to meet the stress event. And the resistance stage is where the body remains physiologically ready. So it's ready to face now the stress event. And lastly, the exhaustion. So after you resist stress, this is where you return to your physiological state, to normal. And this stage is where you get the most vulnerable. So you get more vulnerable to diseases or other things. And this picture, I think it'll be very easy for you guys to understand. So just alarm stage, we just become ready. And now the resistance stage, our body fights back. And the exhaustion stage, now we just relieve everything and we return back to normal. But we become vulnerable at that moment. And the gas theory stages also explain the problems with extended period of stress, because this led to physical diseases. So for example, ulcers, heart diseases, or even emotional difficulties like depression, as this guy in the picture. And perceived control. So this kind of sounds obvious. So this saying that perceived lack of control over events makes the effect of stress worse. So it's basically saying that you tend to get little stress over something we can control than over something we can't. For example, there's this experiment. So there's a rat given duration over a shock. And this rat got less stressed than rats without control of the electric shock. Even though the shock, the amount and everything was the same. So as you see in this picture, so it's kind of explaining the rat experiment more specifically. So just focus on the first two, not the third one. So the first rat, it can control its shock, and the rat on the left was able to turn off the shock for both rats, but the middle one couldn't. So that's why the second mice had more stress, so it had increase in ulcers. So to sum it up, what you can control, you don't get that much stress, but what you can control, you get more stress. That's what perceived control is. And to answer the first question, why is our emotion important in psychology? Wait, sorry. Oh, sorry. Oh. Because, I answered that through our emotions, we can know how we feel, and we can know how we act. We can know how we think. And through that, we can know that our emotions identify what we are in that moment, which psychology wants to study. You get that? And John, explain your answer. John's explaining. I hope he is. Thank you. Or should I say, you're welcome. So, yeah, we're finished. 구독과 좋아요, 알림 설정 해주세요. Yeah, thank you. Yo, man. How was the presentation? Good, huh? I think so too. If you have any questions, call me. 010-3739-97 010-3739-9743. That's my phone number. Call me if you have any questions. I'll answer them. Or if you want to come to Hansola Park, Bekshipsadong, Yukbekiho. That's where I live. Thank you.